Believe you me, I understand. And believe me, I understand very, very, very well. You see, when I grew up in a time to where parents, relatives, coaches, whether it be in football, basketball, track, baseball, boxing, um, in the military, in the United States Army, boot camp, jump school, air assault school, and I mean the list goes on. I grew up in an era and in a time that people, when they were teaching you something, they didn't care too much about how you felt. They did not care too much about you being emotionally damaged. Um, I mean, they don't. And in my day, if you out there, like during football camp, if you was out there um, huffing and puffing and stuff, and you talked about you wanted to go and get some water, they made you look like a sissy. And so people feared, even though we were running ourselves into the ground, actually going getting some water until the coaches gave us a break. And in boot camp, I mean, I had my, playing football, I had my face mask grabbed. I can't tell you how many times because coaches was looking in my eyes trying to get in here. And when I was in the military and in boot camp, now you have to understand, I went through boot camp in 1985. And when I went in the military, we were still, when I first went, they still had Jeeps. I mean, I got some pictures around here and stuff, some of the old vehicles, Gamma Goats, um, Deuce and a halves, Deuces, stuff like that. I mean, um, it was a very different army. Um, when we went to work, because I was a paratrooper, and this is my old beret right here, from the 82nd Airborne Division, and as well as JRTC, the Joint Readiness Training Center. But when we went to work, our boots had to be shined, and I'm talking about shine, and our uniforms had to be pressed. But when we out in the field, we got dirty as I don't know what. But going through all this training, boot camp and stuff, the drill sergeants and them, they spoke words to us. And let me just put it like this: that will be least kind and sensitive to the nature of people's feelings in the day that we're living in. We're dealing with a very effeminate generation that is soft, and I do mean soft, where men seem to be taking on the nature of a woman. And I know what's going on because I know that not only are they taking this role, and it's a role reversal, and the women are taking the roles of men are taking the roles of women, and the estrogen that's supposed to be in women and supposed to be dominant is now being dominated in man because they're putting a lot of things in foods, and what's happening is that a real man is hard to you're gonna be hard pressed to find one today because all the fight is taken out of so-called men today. I mean, literal fight. But all these teachers, these mentors, or whatever you want to call them, they did not speak to us kindly. I've been cussed out on more than one occasion. And neither were we taking it in such a way that we would help post-traumatic stress disorders from being corrected and instructed, and sometimes having a foot in your rear end, church grab, spitting in the face, out at 2 o'clock in the morning, doing push-ups in the rain. I'm talking about the whole 9 yards. And then in jump school, you got to run everywhere. You're being constantly hollered and screamed at the whole 9 yards. I've seen many people die. I've seen the life go right out of the eyes of people, and it's not a pleasant thing to look at or view. There's a concerted effort to feminize this generation so that the powers can dominate and control the masses of the people. The problem is that most of us, no matter how many times we're told it, we don't get it. And so, and I'm saying all this to make a comment about this Xbox thing. Some people think that You have to understand, I'm a pastor, but I'm not the type of pastor that you people are used to. You people are used to being fleeced. You people are used to being merchandise, used to being lied to. And that mess and garbage you see on TV and stuff, that is far from the people in the book. As a matter of fact, when you look at me, you actually see more of an example of the ancient prophets than what you see of these people out there politically grandstanding the stage playing, calling themselves pastors today. But hey, after all, you have one life to live. And if you choose to not um, um, investigate what you choose to believe, because truth is not truth until you get it. Um, and if you don't ever agree with truth, it will not become faith to you, no matter who you are, where you are, or where you go. It just will simply not become, and you will not function after. You will not do it. Um, and I don't mind people being objectively disagreeable with me. I truly don't, because they're going to do it anyway. There's 7 billion people on the face of planet Earth. And if you set yourself apart, especially, and you call to the ministry to preach, you're not going to have too many friends at all. I mean, if you even have that many, a handful. But we have been infeminized in this generation right here. It's hard to even talk to a man today because he has so many emotions working in him that he's functioning after those emotions, being led after those emotions rather than facts. Rather than facts. I'm telling you, the family unit is all but decimated and destroyed in this country. Men will not take care of their responsibilities. Um, uh, uh, for some reason, I don't know what's going on today, but I do know this. I do know one thing, that if there's going to be any type of change in this country, we got to get back to the old ways. We got to get back to the way that when you're trying to get a point over to somebody, you got to get their attention and stuff. You need to aggressively get their attention because this mess and this garbage, what we got going on today, is just simply ain't working. It ain't working. And that's the reason why a lot of times, when I was looking at my YouTube demographics the other day, and it's now like 69% male, and I think like 31% female or something like that. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I love the sisters, love the females, and stuff. But I understand that we all have a role to play, and I understand that we live in a world that is, with this TV and everything else, they're doing everything they can to manipulate and dominate and coerce and change the order of things. They're doing, and they are very successful at doing it, especially when they're using the medium of that one-eyed monster called the TV, because they are evilly affecting a lot of people's minds. They are really, really, truly are. Um, I was thinking the other day as I was doing a little bit of study and stuff. One thing about the old ancient men in the Bible, I'm talking about the Hebrew people called the Israelites, my people. Um, they were very honorable men, and they really took care of the family unit. Our women were not abused. They were not oppressed. They were not abandoned. They were not forsaken. They were not whored around. They were treated with the utmost integrity. And if any of that ever happened in Israel, man, I recall that the Bible is very clear. I remember there's this one concubine that got done wrong by one of the tribes. I mean, very wrong. And I'm not going into detail with it. It's just in the book if you want to read it. And Israel went to war, a civil war, because of the treatment of that woman. But today, man, I tell you, I feel so sorry for a lot of women. I truly, truly do. The abuse, the neglect, the abandonment, the forsaken, the desertion, the verbal abuse, the physical abuse that a lot of women are suffering today is because these men today. I'm telling you, men have all but lost their way. It really truly is. They have all but lost their way. And you gotta understand, when you get a bunch of men that get around and start gossiping and slandering and talebearing and that's all they got to do, you can see that the infeminization of mankind is all but complete. Yeah, I mean, really, because men ain't supposed to, they got time for that. They are too busy out working. They're too busy of getting it done. They're too busy of being a provider. If they're a man, they're too busy being a provider. They're too busy making sure that the family unit, the home is taken care of. But see, everything is changing because everybody's been taken out of their role. And that's the problem we're having today. So that's the reason why I'm sorry, folks. But it is my opinion, and I'm entitled to my own opinion, but I'm not entitled to my own facts. I can't get with you people out there that want to make excuses for this guy being taken advantage of with that Xbox, spending $750 for a piece of paper. Pastor Dow just can't get with it. I can't get with it because, it's clear. It's clear. And that he made a mistake. And I think that, see, that's what I'm talking about. And then PayPal turned around and reimbursed him for the mistake that he made, but he ain't going to learn nothing from it because you know why? He going to go back and do the same thing again. He's going to keep doing the same thing until somebody's not going to reimburse him. Stuff. Where are the terms of agreement, all that? Hey, look here. It's called stupid tax. That's what it's called. It's called stupid tax. You learn things in life by the things that you suffer, the pain that you suffer. They teach you the best lessons that there is. They're called growing pains. And if you don't want to repeat the same mistakes, I promise you that learning experience will do it for you. But anytime you make a mistake and somebody's there to pat you on your back and console you and rub your face and all this old other stuff like that, now, that is the wrong answer. That is the wrong answer. That will not build any character, no integrity whatsoever at all. When I was a little boy, my dad is 6'4", and my mom is 4'11". And when I grew up, my dad, he did not spare the rod. He beat my rear end. I mean, he's about 6'4", weighed 245, somewhere along that time, and he's a big man. And he did not, and he had 3 boys, and he did not spare the rod with any of us. And I assure you, that's one thing about us 3 Dow boys. We're not running short on testosterone. I promise you that. We are men. But I think that's what's happening today. Because, today, if you so-called whoop your children and stuff, the government, the system has a entrenching in place a government institution called the Department of Human Services. And that's because anytime that you go out and you get married and you obtain a state marriage license, the state is a third party of that license. So therefore they think they have legal standing to do whatever they want with the fruit of your labor. So the fruit or the fruit of you and your woman coming together, the seed. And they actually believe that the child belongs to them. The state does. But they're not going to tell you this. They're not going to tell you this. But you watch the way they function. You watch the way they act. Now your child can go to school. And if they can shoot them up with any type of snake venom, monkey pulse, and turtle poop, anything they want. And they don't have to tell you nothing. Nothing else. They got to be answerable to you. And see, that's the reason why all you parents out there feel like that you're castrated, you're powerless and stuff. You have to opt out. You got to opt out and start training up, because if you don't, and I know I'm digressing here, I got a lot of things going. I mean, there's a lot of things going in this particular video right here. And let me stop before I go any further, because that's not the subject matter, the reason why I'm here. But I'm telling you right now that the castration of men is almost complete. You're going to be hard pressed to find one man among 1,000 in this generation that we're living in. I mean, one among 1,000. You're going to be hard pressed to find one because with the mental gymnastics that has been played, the alternate conscious, the people who refuse to actually check out and do an investigation, but just live. I mean, I see so many people. We're humans, and we feel. We have a soul. We do feel. But man, you got to put them feelings in check. You have truly got to put those feelings in check. And I know it's hard sometimes because temptation is very hard. But nevertheless, hey, just be content. Just be content either way it goes. But the last thing that you people want is, especially men out there, is your manhood taken away from you. Can't you see that if they destroy the man in a home, the woman has no confidence in the man. And so therefore, she's not going to go to the man. She's going to go to the system that's going to be feeding her, that gives her security. And that's just the way it is today. Because, anyway, I can keep on going, but I'm not sympathetic towards this guy whatsoever at all. And I assume I'm not that way because when I make a mistake, I don't need nobody to come down on me. They can if they want, but nobody can do the correction of self of me like I can. I promise you. Um, and it's not a pleasant thing. When I found out that I made a serious mistake, and I'm paying stupid tax, I mean, it is the best lesson in the world that there is. Y'all be encouraged.